Hello and welcome to class. I am Dr. Frankham. I'm a professor at Dixie State University, and today we're going to be talking about AWS Cloud EC2 instances. So take a look at this comic to begin with. Doesn't that seem to be many strategies that we hear in industry now? They think if they migrate to the cloud, that there will be some issues, some problems, and that's not always the case. I think with AWS, we have a robust set of materials, a robust set of tools that can help us mitigate any problems or questions that we might have as we migrate to the cloud. So today, we will be looking at the basic fundamentals of AWS, and probably the most basic tool that they have for us on AWS is called EC2, or Elastic Compute Cloud. These, as you recall, are computing instances on the cloud, on Amazon's infrastructure, that we can use to host our various applications. And we will look and see how we create these instances, how we configure them, how we start them, and how we connect to them. So that's what we're looking at today, and we'll start there. Okay, what we're going to look at is we're going to look at EC2 instances. We said that EC2 instances are Elastic Compute Cloud. They're the basic fundamental building block of the Amazon infrastructure. EC2 instance is a virtual machine running in the cloud. So you should already know how to log in. And as you get logged in, we will go ahead and click on an EC2 service, or we can search for that. We can click this drop down, search for EC2. We'll go over to EC2. So our objective is we're going to create an instance. Now I already have one running because I created one a few minutes ago. But basically, we're going to click on Launch Instance. And in this window, we're going to go ahead and specify the AMI that we want to load. Now, an AMI is Amazon Machine Image. This is a operating system that Amazon has already pre-configured for us and that we can use as the basis for our virtual machine. And as you scroll through there, you can see that they have Amazon proprietary AMIs. We have Red Hat Linux, we have SUSE, we have Ubuntu, we have Windows. We have a lot of different ones. Now for today, we're just going to look at Amazon Linux 2 AMI. You can read about the details of what that is, but I'm going to click Select. That's the operating system we're based on. Now, what size? Hit this screen, we'll be able to see, we can see the types of instances here and what they're used for. General purpose, or maybe they're going to be compute optimized or memory optimized or storage optimized. And all these are going to come at different costs. And we can see how many CPUs they have, how much memory, what type of storage, instant storage they'll have, what type of network performance. And the more you pay for, the more you get. Now, the T2 micro instance, that's what we're going to be using for the duration of this course. And that is, if you're using this in the private sector, you do have some access to it will be free. And you can research that, and we can talk more about that later. So I'm going to click on Configure Instance Details. Now, we're not going to get into a lot of these details today, but such as auto scaling, that's just adding or removing instances based on demand. So we're just going to create one instance in a default network that AWS has created for us, with a default subnet, with a default IP. Now, let me pause there for a second. Do I have any questions? All right, as this is a simulation, I guess we don't have any questions. But anyway, we won't go into all these details today, but we will at some future point. So let's go ahead next. Add storage. So now, how big is our disk? What size disk do we want? We'll just take the default 8 GB disk, and we'll just do general purpose SSD, and that looks great. And we can discuss more about the details of this later on. we'll go ahead and add some tags. Now a tag, all a tag is just different ways for us to refer to our different resources on AWS platform. So I'm just going to call this my web server instance. We can give it multiple tags just to be able to manage our resources a little bit better. Configure security group. Remember, security group is, you can kind of think of it as a host-based firewall. What traffic are we going to allow in and out of this particular host? And I'll just take the default here. We'll explore this in a little bit more detail later on. But for the most part, we're going to allow SSH from everywhere. And we'll go ahead and say review and launch. Now it says, hey, whoa, it's open to the world. Well, yes, it will be via SSH because we want to connect to it in just a second. And we can review that. Everything looks good. So we'll say launch. And it says, hey, you need a key pair. Now remember, we don't really know. They're not going to create a user and a password on this virtual machine for us. We're going to connect using SSH keys, which we have done before. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, let's create a new key pair. And I'm going to call this simple. And we'll download that key pair and we'll click launch instance. Now that'll take a minute to launch. And we can come down here and say view instances while it is launching. So here's my old one that I had, and it's already running. The current one we just clicked on, it's pending. So that'll take a minute. So questions at this point? Okay, well, we're going to have a little quiz here in just a second to see how well you guys did. So I'm going to click on this. I already can see that the public IP address is going to be given to me. So let's get ready to connect to this instance. And the way we do that is, here's my simple PEM file that I've in my downloads directory. First thing we have to do is chmod that 400 so that we have the correct permissions to be able to connect. And then we will do a command, something like this. So the EC2 instance does have a EC2 user on it, and this command says we're going to SSH using that simple key that we just created, EC2 user at the IP address I just copied. We're going to hit enter. It's going to say, are you sure you want to connect? Yep. And here we are. We are on that EC2 instance as identified by this IP address and the Amazon Linux 2 AMI. So that's the very quick overview of connecting to and creating a EC2 instance on the Amazon cloud. And over the next few days and weeks, we will add to that and refine it and figure out what different options we have there and that sort of thing. So we accomplished what we said we were going to do. We said we were going to look at the EC2 instance as the Elastic Compute Cloud. We were going to look at how to create an EC2 instance. We were going to look at how to connect to an EC2 instance. So we did what we set out to do. Now, as a quick review, let's take a look. Let's do our quick Kahoot. So if you'll all log in, we will go ahead and look at this Kahoot. Right? So everyone load up your phone or your other device, open a browser. That's the code you need to put in, and we'll go ahead and just take a look at how well you understood some of those topics that we looked at. Obviously, this is a simulation, so I'm not going to do this right now. I don't have any students. I'm not going to simulate a student. So thank you.